Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Max's Fearless Youth, a project connected to the Max's Kansas City, which is a legendary pub. It became a cultural hub in the 1960s and 70s, which was frequented by creatives like Andy Warhol, Patti Smith, and Velvet Underground, and it has served both as a creative incubator that defined an era. It's coming up as its 60th anniversary in December, and my name is Liam.
Hi, I'm Cosmo.
And today we're going to be talking about some pieces of media that have inspired us. And if you want to start.
Yeah, sure. So, the first one on my list is Spaceman, which is the one that came out recently with Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
And that really stuck with me for a multitude of reasons. It's a really good multifaceted story about how humans can be inherently selfish, but then also like gain empathy for other people through just like the weird workings of our mind.
Yeah.
I really like how it's sort of up to interpretation if Hanush is either in his mind or like actually
Hmm.
real and like
Yeah.
teaching him shit. So yeah. That was my first one. What I took away from it was a deeper sense of empathy and compassion for myself while in a rough patch when evolving.
Oh, wow. Um, I know growing up, I would watch a lot of, kids shows,
Hmm.
uh, and that had inspired my artistic mind because I wanted to create stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, and I was more, interested to like the action stuff. But now, as I'm growing up watching more movies, I have watched like kind of different movies like Birdman and recently I watched
Hmm.
Shutter Island, which were all really good
Such a good
ones.
one.
Um, and it kind of like changes the perspective, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are just a couple.
I know Shutter Island. I remember watching it and I guessed the
Hmm.
plot within 5 seconds.
Oh, you did? Really?
Yeah.
Took me a while, but I eventually got it. Um,
I like that plot of them
mhm.
being like, "Hey, we're gonna give you one more shot to
Yeah,
like bust out of like your trauma and
yeah,
actually heal from it." And then unfortunately he doesn't.
yeah. Um, but what other movies have really inspired you?
Um, I know that I mentioned it before, but Labyrinth.
Labyrinth. Yeah.
Labyrinth was my first introduction to dark fantasy, and the story hits even harder now that I've grown up.
Hmm.
Seeing the main characters symbolically trying to grow up but being afraid to do so is a message I feel like all young adults can relate to.
Hmm.
The scariest thing we can ever face is the unknown when we're ready for the quote real world. So seeing Sarah process her emotions through fairy tales she heard growing up hits extremely close to home for me.
Yeah.
What I took away from it was whimsy never fades in adulthood. We just beat it out of them. So we should embrace our inner child and how it can guide us with coping.
Hmm.
Let's see. Well, what kind of artwork do you produce when you feel down?
When I feel down, I don't have really a specific set. I
Mhm.
just like, draw anything. But when I do draw, it makes me feel like I've done something for the day rather than just sitting around doing nothing. Because
Yeah.
when I do nothing, it like I feel really bad about myself. And that way it just keeps getting worse and worse throughout the day.
Unfortunately, that's a thing that capitalism has beaten into us.
Yeah.
But I usually find that whenever I'm like feeling like real down in the dumps, I usually write poetry.
Poetry. Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of like a way for me to you know, process
Hmm.
everything in like a healthy manner rather than
Yeah.
just being like and like rotting in bed.
So, uh, if you think about like a time in like a low time in your life, I
Mhm,
know we've all had our like lowest of times.
mhm.
Um, the one was like a moment during it where you started to realize that you were like kind of like coming back from it, like getting away from it.
I remember I was coming out of this like really bad situation, and I found myself actually despising painting for a while because I used it as like a
Mm-hmm.
distraction method.
Yeah.
So I turned to writing instead as
Writing.
a means of like illustrating what I couldn't like physically portray in like a
Mm-hmm.
painting, instead trying to like get the visuals in someone's mind rather than just being like, this came from my mind.
Right.
Now
Mm-hmm.
look at it.
Yeah.
Let's see. For me, I always found that creativity was a better choice just because like you can get so much crazier than with like
Mm-hmm.
other
Other.
illicit
Yeah. Yeah.
substances and things like
Right.
that. The mind is so much more powerful when you are present.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just allow yourself to explore those emotions, rage,
Right.
fear,
Yeah.
uncertainty, you can come up with something amazing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, there are so many good books that I love that like are like post-apocalyptic, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, this was
Yeah.
made and born of rage, and I'm so glad that like we have this kind of commentary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I've never been down the rabbit hole. I've experienced some like at times I've experienced like drugs and alcohol, but
Mhm.
never really did much. Not to a point where I'd be addicted. Um, but ways or different, pieces of art would prevent that, like watching shows and stuff,
Mhm.
like some of those shows in that, specific theme of like drugs and stuff. And I'd be thinking I really don't want to end up like those people in the shows. But I know a show, for example, Breaking Bad. That was a big,
Yeah, yeah.
it definitely glorified it a lot, but at times it didn't, with the ending of the show, it kind of showed that it was like all for nothing, but in other people's perspective, it could have been for everything. Um, but that is definitely one of the prime examples of that. So,
Another more modern example is the first season of the show Euphoria. It
mhm.
definitely shows how getting into substances like that can not only break
Yeah,
you and break your spirit, but also break the people around you.
right.
And, seeing the concern and the hurt and the anger that those actors portrayed really resonated with me deeply. And it made me, picture myself in that situation.
Hmm.
And I couldn't imagine hurting my mother and my
Yeah,
father
yeah,
like that. Like,
yeah. I agree. I'm like one of the reasons I don't do that kind of stuff is not only I don't want to hurt my family, but I also don't want to disappoint them and make them think that I'm like this type of person. Um, but yeah.
that's fair. It also, shows how much harm you can cause to yourself.
Mm,
Because it's not just, watching the people that you love slowly pull away from you because you may be in a very unstable state that could also harm them, but you're
mhm.
also, you know,
Yeah.
just very painful.
Hmm. Um, and yeah, like to addition to that, I wouldn't want to hurt my body physically. That's not good.
Yeah.
And like in the future years would see like the bad things that come with that. Um, so yeah. Do you know of any artists who've done stuff like that?
The first one that comes to mind is Stevie Nicks.
Stevie Nicks?
Yeah. She did a lot of cocaine and it ended up burning like a huge hole in the inside of her nose.
Mhm.
Um, and that also like taking that much cocaine also inspired her artwork. But for the worse, for her health,
Mhm.
like, was it worth it?
Yeah.
Is it worth it?
Yeah.
Eh.
I know. Now I don't know the name of. So he's an actor. I don't
Mhm,
know the name of him, but he starred in the Home Alone, the first and second one.
mhm.
I know at some point later in his life, I believe there's pictures online that I saw, and it was just like he, looked a lot different, and I
Yeah.
believe he was dealing with drugs. I didn't read into much of it, but I believe that he's changed from that too, and
Unfortunately, with his circumstances,
mm,
him and his brother were being abused by their parents. And of course, when you're a child star, um, there's a lot of pressure that comes
Yeah.
with that. And that's how he spiraled. But now, from what I've seen, he's doing
Yeah.
better.
That's good. Yeah.
Of course, through a lot of like probably rehab, rigorous recovery, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I can only pull from my personal experiences. Um, I remember going through a bout of depression when I was like
Mm-hmm.
12,
Yeah.
13, and I didn't want to leave my room. Absolutely hated everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just wasn't feeling it, Mr. Krabs, and so I started.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started trying to improve like my drawing skills.
Right.
And I remember just getting like super pissed off that like my hand couldn't
Mm-hmm.
illustrate what was in my head.
Yeah. Um, I know earlier during quarantine
Hmm.
that was a huge thing. Um, and it would suck not going out because I did like to go out. Um, and so it got to a point later on where I was like, is this ever gonna end? Um, but during quarantine, I would do some drawing, some writing, and then I even tried voice acting, which is a nice hobby
Ooh.
during quarantine. So,
I also noticed just from like the general population during COVID as well, they started experimenting with fashion. That was
mhm,
sort of one of the main sources of self-expression and to get themselves, out of a rut is like, oh, what style can I experiment with next? Like what hairstyle do I want to do? What color do I want to dye it next? Which
yeah,
I thought was like really cool, seeing like alternative subcultures, gain more prevalence, but
hmm
also at the same time, fast fashion became a
fast
thing.
fashion. Yeah. Um, a few years back, my sister was dealing with
Hmm.
depression,
Hmm.
and so she was taking pills and stuff, and she'd go to like the different clinics, and it was really tough
Hmm.
because I'm really close with my sister. I had obviously grew up with her, and it made me very scared and sad. But stuff that prevented me from going in that scope with her was again like drawing and stuff, and then even like making videos on YouTube helped a lot. Inspired me to do better, and then while still, thinking about my sister and just like praying that she'll be good.
Yeah. I also find that like a good way to process emotions
Hmm.
and sort of feel things out for me is just like singing and just
Hmm.
kind of like finding where the emotions are resonating and then singing from that or just screaming.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, like I sometimes listen to music too if I was feeling down, and that helped me a lot as well.
Yeah, music is a good way to inspire and calm the soul.
Hmm.
Art in whatever form it may take for you is always a good way to process your emotions. No emotion is too big for art. No emotion is too small for art. It's all about how you feel. It's all about what direction you want to take it, and hopefully it guides you towards the better. It makes you feel
Hmm.
lighter, makes you feel calmer. Um, and so with that, we hope you have a great day. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to leave a comment, a like, let us know what your opinions are. We would love to know.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you.
you guys.
See you.